Hey, this is the Big Hardcore Gamer, and in this video I'm going to be giving my first impressions for Assassin's Creed Shadows, which I've been playing on PC through the Ubisoft Connect app. I've put in around 15 hours into this game and definitely have a lot to talk about, so this may end up being a little bit longer than my usual first impressions videos, but I won't be giving away any story spoilers, and I've actually gone back and checked the story trailer just to make sure I don't slip up and give anything away. Although this will feel like a review, I haven't completed the game yet, so I won't be giving a final score. Please watch until the end, leave it a like, share it out, and tell me what you think in the comments. Right, let's get into it. Assassin's Creed Shadows is set in 16th century Japan towards the end of the Sengoku period, and this time you play as two protagonists. There's Yasuke, an actual historical figure who's an African slave turned samurai by Oda Nobunaga. I loved the dialogue between Nobunaga and Yasuke during this section. You get to play as Yasuke for a brief period at the beginning of the game during the prologue, and he's a lot of fun to play with. He felt extremely overpowered at the beginning of the game. He's smashing through doors, easily cutting his way through shinobi, and I laughed loud when I realized you can do a Spartan kick like in 300 and send dudes flying. After completing this section, you switch to Naoe, a fictional character for the game, and her story is more of a traditional Assassin's Creed protagonist. She's smaller and obviously weaker, so her gameplay mostly focuses on stealth. Now, I'm going to be a little vague here because I don't want to spoil anything, but she is tasked with protecting a special box with unknown contents, and things don't go according to plan. By the end of her section of the prologue, I realized that this Assassin's Creed was going to be a revenge story. The setup for this was done to perfection. The music, the action leading up to the end of the prologue, and the cinematic shots of all the main targets that you're going to be hunting throughout the game, it was done really, really well. By the time I completed this, I was fully invested in the story, and as much as I liked the old Assassin's Creed games, this is the first one that's really pulled me in like this. Now, before I start talking about the gameplay, I want to mention that this is the first Assassin's Creed I've played since Black Flag. I own Origins, which I got free from one of the PC storefronts, and I picked up Odyssey in a sale, but I never played either of them. I was put off by the longer RPG gameplay at the time, and when it came to Odyssey, I heard about the insane grind, and that really put me off. But because Ghost of Tsushima out Assassin's Creed did Assassin's Creed, I was definitely curious about how they were going to handle their feudal Japan take on the game. And the more gameplay I saw for Shadows, the more I knew that this had to be a day one for me. I haven't been able to play as Yasuke since the prologue, and I've heard that you don't get to play as him again until you reach the second chapter, which can take around 20 hours. So I've been playing as Naoe for around 15 hours. I absolutely love her gameplay, both for stealth and combat. Stealth is much easier at nighttime because you can hide in the shadows. You can also extinguish lamps, both up close and with the kunai. I also use the shadows to hide dead bodies or to take them into a room and just put out the light. I also found it funny that Naoe is able to carry the bodies of the bigger men that she's killed, even with a smaller size. You can also hide in bushes and tall grass like in every other stealth game, but you can also go prone now. Now, this is useful because there are slightly shorter grass areas that you can still sneak around in if you go prone. Also, I'm playing on expert difficulty, and I didn't adjust any of the sliders when I selected this, so these enemies will spot you much quicker and easier. The assassinations are still as satisfying as ever. You will get an indication in the enemy's health bar that will show you if it's possible to do an assassination. A full red bar will let you take them out in one hit, but for other enemies it will show you how much of their health will be taken with an assassination attempt. So you're able to plan your attack if there are multiple enemies together. What I often end up doing is stealthily killing either weaker enemies and then take off some of the health from the stronger enemies with an assassination and then pull out my sword to finish them off. If an enemy has the assassination prompt in red and not for bar, it's not going to work out. So it's not, there's no point even trying. You're going to have to fight them. Now, because I'm trying to only kill the bad guys and not the innocent staff, such as cleaners and maids, I use Eagle Vision to identify who needs to be killed. Bad guys show up in red and their staff show up in orange. The staff will run for help if they see you murder someone, so they need to be dealt with as well. For them, I use the grab feature to grab them by the neck and lead them to somewhere out of sight. Then I can quietly choke them and not kill them. But be careful, because some of them will actually attack you as well, which I found out when one caught me off guard and I had to kill them. I also use the grab button with some enemies to just lead them out of sight, and as it's quicker than carrying their dead body. Then when you choke them out, you still have the option to assassinate them if you're feeling cold-blooded. When it comes to nowadays combat, you need to be smart about it or you'll get killed very quickly. As possibly the smallest assassin in the series, she may be the weakest, but she's also extremely fast and nimble, and there's a decent parry mechanic in this game. Light attacks can be parried, red attacks need to be dodged, but if you wait until the absolute last second to dodge, you'll achieve a perfect dodge and the enemy will be open up, for extra hits. This is indicated by a glow on their body. When their weapon goes blue, they're going to give you a flurry of attacks. If you parry all of them, you'll see them glow after the final parry and will leave them open up for attacks. You can also dodge these if it's too risky to parry, if they've got a lot of backup, because the other enemies won't just wait for you to finish fighting one target. You'll be fighting enemies from every direction unless you're smart about it. You also have special attacks, which can be triggered by holding the right trigger and pressing the corresponding button. For example, if you hold the right trigger and press triangle, or Y if you're using an Xbox controller, Nawe will dash forward and give them a powerful slash, and you're able to quickly follow up with more slashes. These attacks need to recharge, so you need to use them wisely. You can also hold the right trigger or bumper to charge up attacks and cause more damage. In older Assassin's Creeds, the combat was the weakest feature, but in Shadows it felt much more skillful and a lot more fun. Climbing feels great, and the grappling hook is a welcome addition to the game. It can be used for both climbing and swinging to jump to further buildings and platforms. Although I haven't reached Yasuke's section of the game yet, I have heard that, he doesn't have the grappling hook. So I've been using Nawe to climb as many synchronization points as I can before I get to him, since there's areas that he's not going to be able to reach. As for parkour, it felt fluid whenever I needed to use it, but I'm going to be honest, I hardly use it. I'm going to try and, use it more during the game, but now it moves so fast anyway that I keep forgetting about it. Now let's talk about exploration, which is the thing that Ubisoft games always get criticized about. If you're the type of gamer that complains about map markers and has loved using the phrase, "I don't like it when games hold your hand," ever ever since it got cool to say that, after Elden Ring, well, they've made the mode especially for you. It's called Expert Difficulty. I was actually confused when I unlocked my first synchronization point and looked at the map and didn't see any icons appear. I actually thought that there was a glitch in the game or something like that. But how they've done it is, when you synchronize an area, you'll need to hold the left trigger and manually look around the area. By doing this, you'll see some points of interest appear. But even then, there'll just be question marks on the map, and you'll need to go there to find out what they actually are. And they didn't stop there. For main objectives, that they won't tell you exactly where they are, but they'll give you clues to the location of the objective, and roughly the area that the objective's in. Then you have to search the area to find them. This definitely took some getting used to. I really wasn't expecting it from Ubisoft game, because they're known for filling up the map with icons. But I actually thought it was done really well. It's a good compromise for people who want to go out and explore but don't want to be overwhelmed by the usual Ubisoft maps filled with icons. It's given enough guidance to help you progress, while it's not, as you say, holding your hand. If you get stuck finding your objective, like I did a couple of times, you can send out scouts to search the area, and they'll mark on the map, the roughly where you need to go. You're rewarded for exploration, and it's the reason why I haven't reached Yasuke's section yet. I've been clearing out castles for loot, which takes a lot of time. The castles have loot boxes with armor, and they also have materials for you to upgrade your hideout. They also have one legendary loot box that has the best armor, and you're unable to open them until you've completed the castle's objectives. And that's what makes them so much fun to clear out. They have some special samurai for you to assassinate. The first castle I cleared out had 2, and the second that I cleared out had 3. And you have to kill them all before you can open up the box. The castles also have a lot of enemies for you to either kill or sneak past, just to get to these samurais. So things can get very tricky. But it's worth it for some of the armor that you can get. The castle closest to the hideout had legendary armor, allowing you to perform a double assassination. One with the hidden blades, and the other by throwing a kunai at the closest enemy afterwards. And you can get this right at the start of the game, before you've unlocked the double assassinations from the skill tree. This skill is so useful that I haven't changed my armor since I got it. I've just been upgrading my armor whenever I get the chance. You can also find different swords with new perks. Some of these are found on elite enemies that you kill. I took a poison katana from an elite at one of the castles, and I'm currently using a sword that applies bleed damage to my enemies. Some resources that you find at the castle can only be collected by your scouts. You mark them for pickup, and they are collected later. I currently don't have enough scouts though, so I'm only able to mark one set of resources at a time. I've helped villagers that I've seen getting attacked, and when I talk to them afterwards, they've told me about a rumor which unlocks a new side mission on the map. There are shrines that you can visit that unlock a simple meditation minigame, which also unlock a side mission. These shrine missions, as I call them, have so far been flashbacks of Naoe becoming a shinobi. I'm hoping that there are some similar missions for Yasuke when I get to his missions. There's also a side activity for you to find animals to draw, where you need to sneak up on them without scaring them, and then interact with Naoe to do a drawing. And speaking of animals, they've taken the petting the animals to another level. Every time you pet a new breed of animal, it's added to your hideout. You can then place them in the yard for you to go and pet them whenever you feel like it. Your hideout can be upgraded. This is something that I need to spend more time doing, but the most important upgrade I've unlocked so far on the hideout is the forge. Once you unlock the forge, you can upgrade your weapons and armor, which will help you take on tougher enemies. Everything I've mentioned is from the first section of the map, so there's a lot to do in this game, but I don't feel overwhelmed. It just feels like they got the balance right this time. Now let's talk about the presentation and features. Assassin's Creed Shadows is an absolutely stunning game. I'm playing on PC through the Ubisoft Connect app, and I keep having to stop to take photos of just how good this game looks. I'm playing with DLSS switched on and ray tracing set to medium, and I'm getting around 60 to 85 frames per second with custom settings and at 1440p resolution. I went and played with the settings after I did the benchmark video just to get better performance. This is a demanding game, so the performance is going to depend on your setup. But in my build, I've got an AMD Ryzen 9 7900 X3D processor, RTX 4070 Super, and 32 gigabytes of DDR5 Ram. So it runs pretty well. It's both a colorful game during the daytime and also looks great at night, as you know the shadows are done really well, which is very important since you need to use the shadows a lot for stealth. The day-night cycle can increase the challenge. I've been clearing out areas during the night and took too long. Next thing I know, it was daylight, and all the shadows I was using for cover were gone. What I was really impressed with were the weather effects, which may be some of the best I've seen. The movement of the trees and the grass and the leaves, the dust, and even the fire when the wind is blowing is very realistic. And the shadows and movement of the clothing, matches this as well. And the first time I experienced a thunderstorm, my mouth literally just dropped wide open. Ubisoft were really flexing with the features in this game. The handling on your horse is great, and you can ride through some thick forests with it as well, which basically creates some shortcuts that I didn't even realize were there until I tried it. Now, one thing I was really happy about is that it uses the DualSense features, even on the PC version. I started the game using the Xbox Series controller, but I switched to DualSense when I realized that you attack with the right trigger and right bumper. The DualSense just feels so much better with this control scheme. So I plugged my controller into USB-C ports on my PC, and I was really impressed that it included everything. It doesn't use the adaptive triggers, but it uses the haptics and the speaker on the controller really well. You feel it when you're moving through the bushes and tall grass. You feel the galloping when on horseback, swimming through water, the weather effects, and you feel it every time you parry. And also, hear the swords clash through the controller speakers. I didn't notice the audio effects on the speakers on the controller at first because I was using my headset, but when I switched to the PC speakers instead, I heard everything, and now I mostly play this way. I will always talk about DualSense features when they implemented properly because there are still a lot of developers that don't use them. It's even more impressive that these are available on the PC version of the game. Like I said at the start of the video, this isn't a review because I haven't beaten the game yet, so I can't give it a final score, but this is definitely a game that I would recommend from what I've played so far. It's fun, challenging on expert difficulty, as a compelling story, and I'm enjoying the exploration. From what I've played so far, it's already my favorite game that I've played this year. Whether I still feel that way after 100 hours or so is a different story, but it's definitely made a great first impression. Now, if you made it to the end of the video, please hit the like button. It really does help me out. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button and check out some other content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.